day, everybody. Welcome to the Sports Awards for Santa Monica Academy for the 2019-2020 school year. I know that it would be better if we were meeting under other circumstances where you could eat fried chicken, have some lasagna. If you're over 18, have some wine. Such as it is, this is what we're doing. You may be wondering about the banner. I chose this banner because it brings back good memories, especially for me. One of St. Monica's more glorious moments in sports, perhaps the most glorious moment in sports. I would have had the two new banners up here that we've had. Perhaps we would have had more, depending on what happened in the spring seasons. But the two that we know we won, I couldn't get made because the company that normally makes them closed down, or they were sold out. And then the fellow who bought them out, I was in touch with him, and he was supposed to get back to me. And he never did, and then the COVID thing happened, and so that has fallen by the wayside. But hopefully by September, by the time you come back to school, you'll see a couple of banners hanging in the hallway upstairs. So how are we going to proceed today? Pretty much just going to be me reading off the awards that the coaches have chosen. In the case of girls soccer, the league chose the All-Stars. Coaches in the league choose the All-Stars, or chose the All-Stars for the first and second team. But most of our awards that I'm reading off today are chosen by our own coaches. And we'll go through just like we normally would in the sports banquet. I'll start with the fall sports, and then we'll work through the winter and the spring. And I might say a few words about the volleyball girls since I was the one who coached them. If any coaches have given me some highlights for the year, I'll be reiterating those. And that's going to be the order of the evening. Let's begin with cross country. This year's team was one of the larger teams we've ever had. We had 10 runners. They participated in what has become our standard array of 7 cross country meets, culminating with Mount Sac near the end of the year. And I actually read somewhere that Mount Sac is the largest high school cross country meet on the entire planet. And we had, in addition to a bunch of personal bests where substantial amounts of time were taken off the personal best, we had more medal winners this year or more medals won than we've ever had in previous years. Between Mr. Manu Santiago and Mr. Jose Maria Placencia, they garnered a sizable number of medals. Manu, in all the meets that he ran in, finished at least in the top 30 of all those meets. And when we're talking about the heats, these are big, these are large cross country meets. Even Mount Sac's really large, but these other ones are still large. And a heat size is typically anywhere from about, I would say 80 runners up to slightly over 200 runners. So Manu's finishing in the top 30 of all of these is really impressive. And even in one of the meets, he finished in the top 10. So Manu, you are the cross-country MVP for SMA this year. Well earned, well deserved, a lot of hard work, a lot of training, soccer training certainly helped you. Very much looking forward to seeing your results for next year. So get training in the summertime, man. You've got a lot of time on your hands. I want to see some good times, Manu. Moving on to girls volleyball, let's start with the JV volleyball team. I talked to Coach Jose Gonzalez this afternoon. We have 3 awards for the JV team. We have the most sportsmanlike, we have defensive player of the year, and then we have the team MVP. They don't actually play in a league, so just team awards. And coach's mind, there was no doubt, not a whole lot of thought. They were there. They stood out in his mind. The most sportsmanlike player is Lucy Tidman. Well done, Lucy. And the defensive player of the year is the libero. Probably no surprise to the team. The libero, Mary Kate Talbot. Excellent job, Mary Kate. And then the team MVP went to the setter, that person who the entire offense runs around, and that would be Marisa Grimm. Well done, Marisa. Okay, now to the Now to the varsity volleyball team. A number of more awards there. We've got the same 3, but then we've got some additional ones. We've got, because we won league this year, again, this was, I think, the 10th time in 11 years that we won league. And we won league undefeated again, which was the 9th time? The 9th time amongst those 10 years that we won the championship. And so we've got the league MVP, we've got 2 first team All-Stars, and we've got 1 second team. The first team All-Stars are Maggie Lemon. She was one of our 2 setters this year and also one of our 2 primary outside hitters. And so she's very deserving of the award. Elizabeth McCall gets the second first team All-League award. The second team All-League award goes to Kiara Collins for her defensive play, which I might as well say right now also was the reason I'm giving her the Defensive Player of the Year award. Well, maybe I shouldn't say it on this because now I'm on camera as having said this, and forever will it haunt me perhaps. But I would say she is the best libero I've coached at St. Monica Academy. So very deserving of the Defensive Player of the Year and also second team All-Star. The most sportsmanlike is Sarah Decker. I loved having Sarah. She was often near me on the bench, though she got a lot more play time this year than she's had in other years. I loved her spirit. Oftentimes I would hear her muttering things when I wasn't muttering and drowning her out. She would be muttering things that I was thinking, like, wow, she's could be an assistant coach. But I loved her enthusiasm, always positive, and very, very much deserving of this award. Well done, Sarah. And then let's see, what are the other ones? Oh, the MVP, the last but not least. The MVP award goes to Karina Tariki. Easily the best middle we've had, the most effective middle in terms of her hitting ability. Pretty much indomitable in the middle with her blocking and a combination of her hitting ability. Very few people are able to block her when she gets that set in her wheelhouse. And before I move on to the next sports, I would like to say this. Let me get this. This is right here. I'll hold it up to the screen. That is what Karina won. And let me go through an explanation of that. You can see all the names on the sheet. She is one of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Karina was voted one of 12 players in all of Division 8. And this is done by the coaches. So not just, I put in my recommendations, and then other coaches in the division and other coaches in other divisions can also vote about who they think are the most or the best players in that division. And the players who get the most votes win the award. So she was considered, and you've got to think, we had 76 teams in Division 8 this year. Which, by the way, we were one of the top 32 to make the playoffs. And we got number 4 team in the first round and just about beat the number 4 team in the first round. But 76 teams, minimum 10 girls per team, 760 girls minimum, probably more than that. And Karina was ranked in the top 12 amongst all of those girls. So well done, Karina. We haven't had, well, I think it's been a couple of years since we've had an all-CIF selected for girls volleyball, but now you'll get that certificate, and you also get your name engraved on a plaque and put up on the all-CIF trophy that hangs in the hallway upstairs. So really, really good job, Karina. On to basketball. Let's start with boys basketball. We've got 5 awards. The first team All-League award this year goes to the senior Ernie Grimm, primary ball handler, definitely the backbone of this team, leadership-wise and with his play. And then 2 second team All-League awards go to Liam Morellis and James Grimm. And then we have the Most Sportsmanlike Award, which goes to our new senior this year. I've been at St. Monica Academy before. I had some family members here way back in my first year of teaching. Marcelino Alvarado gets the Most Sportsmanlike Award. And then the Defensive Player of the Year award goes to Ernie Grimm. Seems like there are a lot of Grimms getting awards from Coach Grimm, but I won't say anything more than that. And then we'll go on to girls basketball. They won league again this year. I think this is, I can go off the memory. I probably should have researched this beforehand, but when we go from memory, can be dangerous doing that these days. I think it's 7 years in a row that they have won a league championship. And it's also the 7th year in a row that they've done it undefeated. And they were 8-0 in league play. They had, just record-wise, and I would say even hardware-wise, they had the most successful girls season in the history of St. Monica Academy. They finished the season at 20-4. And in an earlier tournament, the first tournament of the year, out in Calvary Baptist, out in Laverne, the Cougar Classic, they took 3rd place on a lovely last-second three-point shot by, well, not quite last second, but pretty close to last second by Elizabeth McCall. So they took the 3rd place trophy at that tournament. Pretty great accomplishment. I think when they won the 3rd place, they beat the team that was at least in last year's division for a semifinal. They may have even been a finalist. It was Western Christian. And then in the tournament, just the very next week, Northeast Valley tournament out in San Fernando Valley, they took 1st place in that tournament. So we never won 1st place in a basketball tournament, girls basketball tournament before. So great job, ladies, really great job. Now they've got a number, because they won league, they get the MVP. And I'll do the opposite I did in volleyball. I'll start with the MVP. The MVP for the girls basketball this year is Maggie Lemon. Great job, Maggie. And then we had two first-team All-Stars. Not much of a shock here. Corinna Tariki, one of the two, and Fiona Schneishel is the other first-team All-Star in league. So we had 1 second-team All-Star. Goes to Elizabeth McCall, tenacious on the defense. And that's a little cliche, but it is true. Fearless on the offense as well, not afraid to drive to the hoop, very much deserving of the second team. And then the Most Sportsmanlike goes to Tavia Placencia, always a bundle of energy, gets out on that floor, man. She ever run around, always smiling, regardless of what's going on the floor, she's always smiling. I think this is a well-deserved award as well. And then the Defensive Player of the Year goes to one of the reasons she was a first-team All-Star down the low post, very much a blocking presence, also cleaned up on the rebounds in many games. This award goes to Corinna Tariki. Excellent job, ladies. And now we move to girls soccer. They seem to quietly go about their business. Not a lot of fans come out to the games. Although some games we get a good number, probably 25 to 30. But typically it's a sparse crowd, and our girls just quietly go about making the playoffs yet again, which is a great accomplishment in the Heritage League, which is what we cross into for girls soccer, because the International League doesn't actually offer girls soccer. We made the playoffs, like I said, again this year. We ended up, it was a wild card game. We had to travel quite a ways south to play the team, and narrowly losing to them. But let's get to the awards. The much deserved awards. We've got the league all-stars, the 2 second league all-stars, second team league all-stars, and the 2 first team league all-stars are both chosen by the coaches within the league. Our 2 second team all-stars are Abigail Benedicto and one of our stalwarts on defense, next to Genevieve Polito, Riley O'Brien. Loved watching Riley. She's worth the price of admission. Very much the fearlessness is what I'm talking about. She's not afraid to go into those tackles hard. She gets in people's way, man. She's just not worried about what might happen to her. At least she doesn't seem like she's worried about it. So well done, ladies. Those are definitely deserved, both of you. The first team, pretty clear. You watch our team, it's very clear who the two best players are on the team. Not putting down the skill level of the rest of the team, just that these girls they play club, have played club for years, and they are definitely a step up in terms of their skill level because of playing club. So Karina Martin, our midfielder, well, I guess she did a lot of things, didn't you, Karina? Sometimes you'd be on the forward, you'd be the strikers, or you'd be midfielder. I think maybe once in a blue moon you'd go back and help out on defense, but primarily she was our stalwart in midfield. And then our backbone in the defense, without question, is Genevieve Polito, who, by the way, because she's the backbone defense, also was chosen by coach, not by the league, by her coach for the Defensive Player of the Year award. And then Riley gets to win a second award in girls soccer. Much well earned here, I think, as well. Not only because of her hard play all the time, every game, but her enthusiasm, her timeliness to practices and to games, and her level of positivity and commitment. She wins the sportsmanlike player in soccer. Onwards to the spring sports. These are pretty abridged because, well, the seasons they had barely begun. With swimming, we had only done one meet, and it wasn't a CIF-sponsored meet. It was just a fun meet, get together with the other teams in the league, and just practice various skills that we needed to work on prior to the actual CIF-sponsored meets. And then in girls lacrosse, we had 5 matches played, and hadn't had any league matches played. We had played one of the teams in our league, but didn't count as a league match. And then for boys baseball, we only had 5 games played, had a couple of league games under our belt, I think, and we had won both of them. It would be nice to have Coach Phil up here doing his thing, send him till the end of the banquet or the awards ceremony, the best for last. Have Uncle Phil talking about his boys. But alas, it can't be. But he has chosen 2 good selections, I think very worthy selections. The Heritage League wanted two selections for All-Stars for boys baseball, and Phil chose 2 seniors. They were our 2 primary pitchers, the bulk of our rotation, our pitching rotation, and those 2 guys are Ernie Grimm and John Short. Well done, you 2. I do want to say, before I move on, some last words. I want to talk about the girls lacrosse. This was particularly disappointing this year. This was going to be the first year that CIF officially had lacrosse as a playoff sport. And so they had, of all the teams that were registered in girls lacrosse, they had broken them down into 3 divisions, and they had actually put us in the right division for once. I mean, not for once, but at least for once in the last 4 or 5 years. We were put in the Division 3, and with the quality of the team that we had this year, I think, and given the teams that were listed in our division and a number of whom we played, we had a good chance of making a run in this playoff. And now, obviously, can't happen, and we graduate Riley, one of our best, maybe even our best lacrosse player. So it was particularly disappointing to have lost out on lacrosse this year. But to end on a more positive note, I want to talk to you about something pretty exciting. So as most of you already know, we do our soccer, we do our swimming, and we do boys baseball, all in the Heritage League. And about 1.5 years ago, when we had all those 3 sports with them, the head of the league, he's the athletic director at Trinity Classical Academy, emailed me and said, why don't you just come whole hog into our league? and for a few reasons, I discussed it with some other people, board member, one of whom is a basketball coach, and we decided not to do it at that time. And then we sort of brought the issue again to light this year, and I ended up asking the league if that offer was still available, and they had a unanimous vote, or it had to be a unanimous vote. It turned out it was. They unanimously voted us in, and which, by the way, pretty much every AD in that league just absolutely loves St. Monica Academy. We fit in really well with their whole league. They're a bunch of intense small schools, intense in terms of their sports programs, some of the most well-reputable schools in the entire CIF Southern section with respect to their sports at the small schools level. And so we, of course, fit in with that because we are very well respected around the CIF Southern section. And then the other thing that had to happen was we had to be released by CIF mandates. We had to be released from our previous league, and that didn't have to be unanimous, but it turned out it was, not because there was any animosity. People were actually quite sad to have us leave. So we've developed some pretty good rivalries with Waverly and with Lily Say, and Lily Say in particular, with sort of across the board, whereas Waverly, it's more just boys basketball, maybe a little bit in girls volleyball. So the league released us, and we are now going to start full-time as a league school with the Heritage League, which means all of our basketball and all of our volleyball, and even our cross country now has a league instead of being independent, will all be done in the Heritage League with the likes of teams we've already played numerous times in those sports. So Faith Baptist, Trinity Classical Academy, Santa Clarita Christian, Desert Christian, Baptist Christian, Palmdale Aerospace, and then Vasquez Public High School there up by Agua Dulce. So we're in a better league. So I think this is going to help our teams across the board, in particular our girls sports, girls basketball and girls volleyball. We now have much more intense league competition. The league matches will be more like, heck, they'll be more like playoff matches in terms of their intensity and what's riding on it. It won't just be how do we keep the score under 50 points, or how do we not insult the opposing coach by beating them too badly. So I'm excited about this. I hope you guys are excited about this. Something to look forward to come September. Okay, now the last thing I want to get to is what I usually get to at the end of the sports banquets. I would like to honor a few groups of people. I would like to honor all the people who helped out with the scorekeeping. And I did take a list this year, wrote down a list, probably forgotten some people, but I think it was a fairly exhaustive list. And yes, you didn't get your in and out, so maybe you can remind me of that in September. Those seniors who helped out scorekeeping, well, I guess you're out of luck when it comes to the in and out. But so I'm going to post right at the end of my little talk here, I'm going to post a PDF, and it'll be the listing of all the names and the sports that they score kept or they helped out with. And then the second thing I would like to do, and the last thing that happens, is normally I call up all the seniors, and as they're coming up onto the stage, I read off all the sports that they did throughout their time at St. Monica Academy, whether it be 1, 2, 3, or 4 years. And so instead of, obviously we can't do that right now, so what I've done is create another PDF of that, and that'll also be on the screen, and you can see your names, the names of the people, and all the sports that they participated in over the years. I don't usually say a lot about the outgoing seniors, but I will say this about them this year. I was looking forward to watching like Vernie Grimm and John Short in baseball come playoff time. Pretty sure we're going to make the playoffs there. I was really looking forward to seeing Riley out on the field in lacrosse come playoff time. I did watch a few matches earlier on in the year, so that is sad that we have to see them go without actually seeing them go. But we wish them the best next year, whatever it is that they're doing, and hopefully they'll come around. If they're near in the vicinity, they can come and cheer on their alma mater and the sports that we offer. Well, that concludes my yammerings. I know this wasn't as fun as getting together and having a meal and sharing some laughs together, over in Healy Hall, but is what it is. I just want to wish you all a great summer. Stay well, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you all again come late August, early September.